This is Markin Out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Follow on Twitter. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Marking Out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Brennan likes fisting. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. We're marking out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans.
Welcome to Markin Out, Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. This is episode 734. Make sure that you check out markinout.com. You can also go listen and subscribe over at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and wherever else you are listening to podcasts. Make sure you give us a 5-star rating to go with that 5-star frog splash. Buy a t-shirt, prowrestlingtees.com/markinout. Give us a like on Facebook. Hey, check us out on TikTok at Markin Out. Also on Twitter, aka X, at Markin Out, and on Instagram at MarkinOut11. You can follow me at all social media platforms, David PTDPT. You can follow Chris at Chris Sweendog on Twitter and CMSweeney85 on Instagram. And you can follow Brandon on all social media platforms at BTTG161. That is right, and I am here with Brandon. Hey. Hi, my cousin. How are you?
I'm doing awesome as always. How about yourself?
Hi, I'm doing good. Just thinking about how that definitely picked up on my recording because I didn't lower the audio.
Oh.
Yeah, but I appreciate the cueing that I should lower my the audio into my ears. So thank you very much. At my old age, I don't know what's loud anymore.
Well.
You know, a lot changes once you hit 62.
Well, how was your week?
It was good. It was very, very good. I cannot believe another week is by. Yeah, it was a good week. Not too much excitement in the life right now. Just recovering from coming back from Houston. Yeah, the next vacay / not a vacay, but conference-wise would be in the beginning of April. I'm going to be going to Michigan, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Going to that, and then in May, going to hit up good old Tokyo, Japan, and Kyoto and Osaka for a World Physiotherapy Congress out there. So if you're in Japan or Tokyo, make sure that you send me a message saying hi, so this way I could, we can meet up. You can even be on the podcast if you wanted to. We got many listeners in Tokyo, I'm sure. Yep. I'm sure of it. Maybe. Who knows? I don't know. What about you? You doing good?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't do anything. I was just recovering from being sick last week.
You sound a lot better.
Well, I don't think I sounded bad last week.
It depends.
I didn't even have anything wrong with my voice.
Ask the listeners.
It was all inside.
Yeah, the listeners reached out to me. They were like, what's up with him?
I don't think so.
Okay, maybe it didn't happen.
But we both watched Monday Night Raw.
We did. We did watch Monday Night Raw, kicking off with maybe the most hated person in WWE, debatable with Dirty Dom, Logan Paul coming out.
Got a big mention on the Tonight Show this week.
True.
From Floyd Mayweather. And Floyd Mayweather, they spoke about the fight that he had with Logan Paul, and he goes, oh, that's why he joined WWE. He wants to hold on to me the whole time. So I thought that was pretty funny. But CM Punk interrupted Logan Paul, and Logan Paul asked CM Punk what his problem is. And CM Punk basically said that Logan Paul's a nobody. And Logan Paul said that CM Punk had this huge return to WWE, and the very first thing he did was tear his tricep. And he couldn't handle the spotlight. It's only a matter of time before the people start chanting his name instead of CM Punk. Which obviously was a sea of boos of a response there.
Yeah, they hate him.
And then CM Punk said that he's going to eliminate him in the Elimination Chamber as a receipt for the Royal Rumble elimination. And then he's going to win the Chamber himself. He's going to win the championship at WrestleMania, while Logan Paul will be nothing but history. And then Logan Paul slapped the absolute hell out of CM Punk.
Yeah, he landed that. There was blood in his mouth after that one.
There was blood. That was one hell of a hit.
Definitely bloodied up a lot better than other people that are getting bloodied this week.
Yes.
But you'll discuss that a little bit later.
First match, we saw Ludwig Kaiser pick up the victory over Penta and Pete Dunne. This is Penta's first loss in WWE. But this was an exciting match. I liked when Penta went to dive out onto Ludwig Kaiser, and Kaiser walked away. Then he got rocked by Pete Dunne, and then Penta took Pete Dunne out with a dive. But Kaiser was ready to attack Penta after that spot. But I thought that was a cool, not chain of events, but sequence or whatever, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I wasn't...
There really wasn't an upper hand sort of moment. It was all pretty even between everybody here. I mean, Penta maybe had the most control, but between Kaiser and Pete Dunne, I would say it was pretty even at least.
Yeah, I was very surprised by this. I was not expecting Kaiser to pick up the victory, but I think it's very important that he did pick up the victory. I feel like there's a lot of potential with Kaiser. Yeah. It's only a matter of time, but I don't know where the ceiling is with Kaiser just yet.
Yeah, but there was there were a lot of crazy spots in this. You had Pete Dunne hit that bitter end, which Kaiser broke up the pin for. Then he went out for his move. Pete Dunne snaps his fingers. Penta hit the Mexican Destroyer off of Kaiser's back. He hit the sacrifice on Pete Dunne. And he went for that Penta driver, and Kaiser threw Penta out, hit his finisher on Pete Dunne. And like you said, unexpected victory there.
Yeah, but I'm happy that he picked up the victory. Yeah. I mean, I feel like everything that he was doing with Sheamus was great, but I feel like Kaiser needs something to keep him engaged right now, and it's nice to see him pick up the victory with this. Yeah.
After that, we had New Day pick up the victory over the LWO. This was a good match, but no way, shape, or form were New Day losing this match.
No. I feel like, I'll say it on the show, I keep on forgetting the name of the people in the LWO anyways.
Well,
so to me, the New Day was definitely going to pick up the victory, and it was definitely not going to be the LWO.
I will say, though, if you were to ask me an MVP of the match, it was Joaquin Wilde.
Mm-hmm.
But after the match, New Day beat LWO down. Dragon Lee attempted to make the save, but New Day put him down as well. So 2-on-3, they were taken down.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to happen with New Day? Is there going to be someone else to step up for them? I have no idea. Rey Mysterio's out.
I don't know, but I like how this entire this segment went down. I think that it was a very strong showing for New Day.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with you. Wilde was definitely a standout, but I think that New Day, it was going back to what we mentioned maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, that this side of New Day, I like seeing this aggression from them.
Yeah.
But next up, you had Gunther pick up the victory over Tozawa. And this was unexpected.
It happened because of a TikTok. Believe it or not. Gunther saw him recording a TikTok backstage with Maxine and Otis. He was pissed off. He wants Tozawa to be who Akira Tozawa once was. And as far as the match goes, Tozawa had that tiny burst of hope, but I feel like he had even less of a chance of beating Gunther than the LWO had of beating New Day. But it was still an enjoyable match. It was
Yeah, I agree.
not one-sided
I think that is crazy.
whatsoever.
Like you see the pictures of them from maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's just wild, the transformation, physique of both wrestlers. And it's funny because they tried to play it up where there were moments where Tozawa, you're like, can he?
Yeah, it wasn't one-sided.
Yeah, like and it's kind of funny because they had those moments where it's just like, can he? But like in reality, like 100% he can't.
It's Triple H versus Brooklyn Brawler.
You know what? I was even going to say Santino. Royal Rumble.
I feel like that's a bit different.
Well, for this one, you definitely knew there was like zero chance, but there were moments where you're like, huh, no.
Yeah.
That makes it fun. And then you had everything happen with Otis after.
Yeah, Gunther continued to choke Akira Tozawa, and Otis stepped up, and Gunther left. And when Otis turned his back on Gunther to check on Akira Tozawa, Gunther got back into the ring, choked Otis out, and then Jey Uso ran out, and Gunther actually left. So we still have that inclusion with Jey Uso there in the World Heavyweight Championship, the match at WrestleMania.
I mean, he totally lifted him off the ground too during that choke.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, I totally agree. Next up, you had Lyra Valkyria pick up the victory over Dakota Kai to retain her championship. I fell short in this match. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, first of all, it was a lot more hard-hitting than I expected it to be. And it was definitely, for me at least, it was pretty even between the two of them. I popped when Dakota Kai tripped over the wires and Michael Cole blamed Stu outside the ring. I thought that was funny. But I didn't think Dakota Kai would win this match, but it was still a good match to me. I still enjoyed it. I expected Ivy Nile to show up during the match, but she showed up afterwards and attacked both of them. A lot of people were annoyed that this match even took place, and I understand it because we literally just saw this match. Lyra Valkyria shouldn't be having the same matches over and over again to establish the Intercontinental Championship.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that, and it makes no sense because Ivy Nile had the opportunity to be in this match. Why they didn't just give it to her? Maybe they wanted to build up to the moment. But I still feel like they probably shouldn't have had Dakota Kai versus Lyra Valkyria again.
Mm-hmm.
Because it literally just took place.
Yeah.
Earlier in the night, we saw the Judgment Day, Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio arguing. Finn Balor,
Trouble in Paradise.
Finn Balor ran Dominic down for embarrassing them last week. And then Dom threw it back in Finn Balor. He's like, brother, you lost to Seth Rollins. And he brought up the suggestion of a new member again. And then Liv Morgan stepped in, told them that they need to stop arguing. They need to focus on winning the championships. Dominic needs to focus on his match with Braun Breaker. Was that for the title? I don't remember if that was for the title. I feel like it might have been. But Braun Breaker, regardless of that, picks up the victory over Dominic via disqualification. We saw Carlito get involved a few times, and then Finn Balor got involved, and the three of them beat Braun Breaker down. Until Carlito ate a spear, and Braun Breaker went face-to-face with Finn Balor in that dog position.
How do you feel about Braun Breaker's title reign?
I think, like Lyra, they need to do more with it.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
and then
I agree with you.
And Finn Balor backed out of the ring, by the way, which I don't hate this, but at the same time, I'm confused by all of it because we need more from Braun Breaker, and does this lead to Finn Balor versus Braun Breaker for the title? There are like so many different segments where we're like, oh, it's going to be this person versus Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania. I don't know if it's going to lead to some sort of Mega Man match. I have no idea.
Yeah. I think that it's crazy with the entire stuff that, I mean, apparently with the Finn Balor, there was the demon in the background.
I mean, that's been there for literally months.
That's what I thought too. I saw somebody put it up, but that's what I thought too.
Yeah, it's been there for months.
Okay.
I did pop. I don't know if it was last week when Carlito was talking about the DLC for 2K24. He's like, just give me your credit card and I can get the DLC. I don't remember if that was this week or last week. It might have been last week.
I don't recall.
But he was DLC for last year's game, so I thought it was pretty funny. Mm-hmm. After that, we had Cody Rhodes come out. I do not think Cody Rhodes needed to be here. On SmackDown, The Rock said, give me an answer at the Elimination Chamber. I feel like we didn't need to hear Cody's thoughts until the Elimination Chamber. You had Seth Rollins interrupt Cody Rhodes and told Cody not to sacrifice everything that he did to help Cody win at WrestleMania. And Seth spoke basically about which version of Cody Rhodes he'd want to face if he won the Chamber at WrestleMania. I did like this segment as a whole. Mm-hmm. I liked Cody bringing up how Seth Rollins once also sold his soul, hit the members of the Shield with a chair and joined the Authority, and ran people like Cody out of WWE. So I liked that aspect of it, but overall, I really do not think this was necessary to have Cody on Monday Night Raw.
I agree with you.
Especially because he's a SmackDown champion.
Yeah, he's a SmackDown champion, but also at the end of the day, if you didn't have Cody there, I feel like there's no, like, I have to get tickets to see Monday Night Raw if he wasn't there.
I don't think that's a selling
point.
You
didn't have Seth Rollins in a match. You didn't have CM Punk in a match.
Yeah, but I don't know if Cody was advertised even.
I think he was. I think they said he was going to be on Monday Night Raw to address The Rock. But even still, I think that it's okay to have cross-brand with him being the champion, especially with WrestleMania upcoming.
The only selling point for him to be on Monday Night Raw in that segment was to get that Authority line out with Seth Rollins.
True.
Everything else, true. The Rock literally said, I want your soul. Tell me your answer at Elimination Chamber. Not show up on Monday Night Raw and talk beforehand and then show up to Elimination Chamber.
Well, I don't think he said that. I think he just said, I'll be at Elimination Chamber.
No, he said, give me your answer at the Chamber.
Oh. I mean, I guess it seems like we're going to see some sort of a similar aspect to the corporation with The Rock.
That's what it seems like, and I don't think Cody's going to be the corporate champ.
What do you mean?
I don't think Cody's going to sell his soul to The Rock.
Oh, so you think that, okay, so do you think that Cody's going to turn heel this year?
No. I don't think it's going to be CM Punk that does it either. I feel like that would be too obvious. John Cena, I feel like can't be it. Huh. And I feel like the only other person there is Drew McIntyre.
I mean, he did gift him that sword.
Yeah, we have never... So many people always say, like, oh, there's stuff with The Rock and Drew McIntyre, but we never see it. We never hear it talked about.
That's interesting. Because I'm sold that it's going to be Cody heel turn this year. And this is going to be a good way for it to happen, as I mentioned. But that's interesting that you think that he's not going to turn heel. I agree with you. I don't think that on the aspect of John Cena, I think he's going to remain face. CM Punk, I think, is going to remain face. The two people that could turn heel, Drew McIntyre, of course, is already heel. He could be that soul for The Rock, the hired hitman, but could also be Seth Rollins too, right?
I mean, they tell the story that he sold his soul once before, but I don't think it'll be Seth Rollins either.
I mean, who knows? But all right, interesting.
Main event of Monday Night Raw saw the Judgment Day pick up the victory over Bianca Belair and Naomi to become the new tag team champions.
What ending cooked so hard.
They brawled before the match, and yeah, the champions, they freaking cooked in this match.
You know,
the Judgment Day cooked in this match.
everybody was cooking in this match to the point where you didn't know what was going to happen.
And there were so many points. Like Bianca Belair, at one point, she had Raquel Rodriguez up for an attempted KOD. Raquel rakes Belair's eyes. And then she and Liv Morgan hit that middle rope shatter machine. Then the champions later on attempted that double KOD. Dominic Mysterio got involved. And that led to Raquel being able to break the KOD, hitting a Tejana bomb. And I literally thought that was going to be us seeing the new champions. They cheated to win. I was like, okay, I'm accepting that. That wasn't the end of the match. Bianca Belair was able to hit a normal KOD. Raquel ends up breaking that pin up again. And then the champions hit a double KOD. But Dominic got Liv Morgan's leg on the rope. And there were so many of those spots. Yeah, there were so many spots where I'm like, I could see the champions retaining. I went into this match thinking there's absolutely no way the Judgment Day is walking out as champion. And then as the match progressed, I was like, oh, they're going to win right here. No. Oh, they're going to win right here. No.
Mm-hmm.
Then we saw Naomi hold on to the Oblivion. She rolled into a pin, which Liv Morgan reversed. She rolled through. She gets up, gets hit with a rear view. I'm like, well, there we go. That's the end of the match. Champions are going to retain. More Dominic Mysterio. And Raquel held on to Naomi going for that split-legged moonsault, and Liv Morgan was able to get the victory and win the titles. Now Finn Balor looks really bad. As trying to be, I'm not the leader, but he's looking like the leader. Here's Liv Morgan. She has gold. He doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Raquel Rodriguez, by the way, I believe is the only 4-time champion. Tag team champion.
This entire thing was phenomenal. I didn't know if we were going to see... I mean, I keep on talking about it. I keep on saying about Jade, the storyline with that. I was maybe expecting Jade to show up at the end, but that never happened. It was straight up just Judgment Day being Judgment Day. They had so many incredible spots that gripped you in. And it wasn't like the near fall. It wasn't like I didn't feel like the near falls were cheapened. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like it didn't, like you had a lot of near falls, but it wasn't like finisher, kick out after everything. Like all of the finishes and the near falls, it didn't feel cheapened at all. And I think that this entire matchup was really fun to watch. And I'm only guessing now we're going to see, like you mentioned it to me about the Bianca potential heel turn. And maybe that's where we get Jade involvement. Maybe we'll end up with Jade versus Bianca at WrestleMania.
But then what do you do with Naomi?
I think Naomi you can probably sprinkle somewhere else. Or maybe even have her as the enforcer or guest ref or on commentary.
I don't know.
Potentially.
That to me wouldn't make sense.
Naomi on a pole match?
Because Naomi would also have to feel betrayed by Bianca Belair if that's the case. She literally stepped up for Jade Cargill.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I feel like you'll probably get Belair versus Naomi maybe the week before or 2 weeks before. Belair going over Naomi, Jade making a save after that, and then have Bianca versus Jade at WrestleMania. So you don't really necessarily need Naomi at ringside.
Well, we'll see.
She could just be backstage and be like, show a backstage clip that on WrestleMania day of Naomi being like, hey, go get her for us.
Yeah.
You know?
But
Could definitely happen.
I'm very intrigued, though, with Liv Morgan holding that championship with Raquel Rodriguez and Finn Balor not having a title right now.
I mean, what about the intrigued factor of there goes Liv's chances of winning Elimination Chamber?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know how to... I mean, going into Elimination Chamber... Oh, yeah, of course. Why wouldn't it be her versus Rhea Ripley? But
I'm honestly probably still picking Liv Morgan to win that, though.
I mean, kind of the same thing with Bianca Belair, because now we're talking about Jade. I mean, did we just eliminate Jade and Liv Morgan from competing against Rhea Ripley?
What do you mean Jade? Jade's not even in the picture.
I'm sorry, Bianca Belair.
Technically, Naomi could be eliminated from that too, maybe. Potentially.
True. Who else is in... I guess we'll come up to who's in it.
Yeah, we have Bayley, Roxanne Perez.
I mean, I don't see Alexa Bliss winning.
Right.
It would be...
I think it's if it's not Liv Morgan, then it has to be Bayley, and we see Bayley versus Rhea Ripley.
I don't know if I would see that because we just recently saw that, but how crazy would it be? And honestly, at this rate, I wouldn't put it past them, but if they did Perez versus Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania, Rhea Ripley can go over, but imagine the spotlight. Like, that would be a huge automatic uplift and boost for Roxanne Perez.
Part of me feels like if you're going to do Roxanne Perez versus Rhea Ripley, then Roxanne has to win. To me, that's like that WrestleMania match where Charlotte picked Rhea Ripley and then Rhea Ripley lost, and it's like, what does that do for Rhea Ripley?
I don't know.
That's
I think
why,
I have to think.
in reality, still Tiffany Stratton needs to beat Charlotte Flair this year.
I don't think I could. I think I need to think it through longer than the amount of time that we have on the podcast to figure out how I feel about Perez versus Rhea Ripley, about Perez defeating Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. But with everything that took place during this matchup, I feel like she just moved into my selection as to the winner.
Well, we'll put a pin in that for now.
Yeah, we'll get to those predictions, but spoiler, I'm picking her.
Moving over to NXT, it opened with Stephanie Vicor picking up the victory over Carmen Petrovic to retain the North American Championship. This, I thought, had very good back and forth between the two of them. They had some good, like, pins into submissions and then back into pins again. There was no way Petrovic was winning. But the big part of this was afterwards, where Julia showed up and said that she's the best champion, and then Stephanie Vicor laid out a challenge for title versus title, which I feel like that's not necessary at all. Mm-hmm. How do you get out of that? Do you have interference, or do you have Stephanie Vicor beat Julia, or do you have Julia beat Stephanie Vicor?
Ooh.
I can't even... I have no idea.
I feel like for that, I feel like there's going to be not a clean finish. You need interference from someone. And it would have to be, I don't know.
I can't even
I don't
think
feel like
of
it's going to be
potentially would be that person to interrupt.
It would have to, obviously it would have to be
no
a heel. Idea. You would have to have a heel in this sort of a fashion.
But I don't even think Cora Jade interrupting would be like that huge, like, nail in the coffin sort of thing to do that.
Yeah, it's tough to say. But next up was something that I think the both of us could say we never thought that we would ever see on WWE television. But the TNA X Division Championship was defended on NXT as Moose picked up the victory over Lexis King in Lexis King's hometown. What a show, what a match.
Hearing commentary, first of all, talk about the history of the X Division Championship, and with AJ Styles being champion, the Motor City Machine Guns, Kurt Angle, I think they even mentioned.
To me, it's still weird to see Moose as X Division because in my mind,
right.
I'm still... Like, I still see X Division as the high flyers.
Right. But, I mean, Moose, he did some high flying in this match.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I thought it was a pretty good defense for Moose. I think a very reoccurring theme this week for WWE was no way in hell was that person winning.
Mm-hmm.
So, no way in hell was Lexis King beating Moose for that championship. But Obafemi came out afterwards to talk about a match between the two of them and announced that it's... I could swear he announced it's title versus title at Roadblock at Madison Square Garden. So it had me thinking that the system would have to stop this match Ava then clarified later on and that it's just the NXT title on the line. So now I don't think the system needs to get involved and that Moose eats the pin.
Mm-hmm.
But that match is booked for Roadblock. So obviously I think Obafemi's walking out as champion still.
I agree. I think Obafemi's going to walk out as champion. I mean, it would be really incredible to see another champion go over a WWE champion on WWE turf. But I can't see it against Obafemi. Obafemi is just too powerful of a person, and I feel like it's okay
we'll get to
I could see
the match though.
Yeah, I could see Obafemi come out the winner, and then at the end, Moose and Obafemi stare at each other, and then they shake hands, and then Moose leaves the ring.
Potentially.
You know?
After that, you had Jordan Grace come out, and she spoke about how she'll be standing across from Stephanie McCoy or Julia someday. And then Roxanne Perez showed up. I thought she was done with NXT. And she said that everybody wants to be part of the division that she made famous. And she said she's going to win the Elimination Chamber. She's going to win the championship at WrestleMania. And then she might even come back to NXT and win the NXT Women's Championship again. And then Jordan Grace ends up clocking Roxanne Perez. And Roxanne got away before anything could happen.
Yeah.
I think obviously that's going to set up a match between the two of them.
I mean, I'm just going to say she nailed her.
Yeah.
She rocked her solid right in that face. Like, it looked like there was no give to that punch. You know, but next up was an incredible throwback moment. The Hardy Boyz picking up the victory over No Quarter Catch Crew. Matt Hardy making his return. That's right, his return.
Yeah, they kept saying, no, he's making his debut in NXT, not the truth. Real ones remember, Yellow Ropes forever, bro. What are you talking about?
You can say the new era of NXT.
Yeah, you can't. NXT is NXT. He was there from day one.
I mean, but he's been on in the past. But, yeah, this was perfect. You know, they came out. It wasn't like a huge 5-star matchup.
No, Fraxium eventually made their way out to watch also, but
yep, sitting at ringside.
All of this, it was just crazy to watch this.
Yeah, but it was just perfect to see them out there. They did all the hits and everything. The crowd went home happy.
Yeah, and it was nice to see No Quarter Catch Crew get a match like this, a spotlight match, especially when they're facing a team like the Hardys.
Yeah, who wouldn't want to face the Hardys, you know? Especially not even just as a tag team, but who wouldn't want to be in the ring with them, you know? I'm sure these people grew up watching them.
I liked Jeff Hardy doing the poetry in motion off of Tavion's back.
Yeah.
And then he did one off of Matt's back on the ramp into the ring onto Miles. I thought that was cool because we had the ramp connecting to the ring for this episode. We also, like you said, it was the greatest hits of the Hardys. Matt hit the Twist of Fate. Jeff Hardy hit the Swanton. Matt got the pin to win. And then Fraxium and the Hardy Boyz spoke to one another afterwards. Jeff laid out the challenge. And then Santino Marella. I love that music. Haven't heard it in years.
Yeah,
on
it's
TV
been a
at
long
least. I secretly
time.
listen to it weekly. But he came out and made it official for Madison Square Garden that for the first time ever, the TNA Tag Team Championships will be defended in WWE at NXT or at WWE Roadblock. It's no longer NXT Roadblock. But I can't believe how crazy this MSG card is going to be. And it really sucks that this is the first New York City area NXT show that I'm going to be missing.
Yeah, it seems so insane and so good.
Especially with the Hardys. That's your TNA champions going over. I don't think Fraxium's walking out with the TNA tag titles also. I could be wrong, but
I mean, I don't know anymore.
Yeah, it's very possible. I just don't see that being the case.
It is very possible. But, I mean, you have all those things about the Hardys' contracts and this and that.
Yeah, who knows?
WrestleMania season, who knows?
And then later on, it was shown that we didn't see the attack, but we saw Retribution walking away from No Quarter Catch Crew, who was laid out. So we could only assume that it was them who did that.
Yeah.
After that, we had Lola Vice pick up the victory over Ariana Grace, which was set up earlier in the day. But it was nice to see Ariana Grace in the ring again. Lola Vice controlled a majority of this match.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to see somebody interrupt this match, but that wasn't the case.
No, not
Just a
needed.
straightforward match. Lola Vice gets the victory.
Yep.
Ariana Grace is back in the ring. I don't know if we'll continue seeing her wrestle or if she'll continue to just
I hope so.
strictly be the Miss NXTNA.
Yeah. Next up, your main event of the evening is Javon Evans and the NXT in-ring debut of Ricky Saints, picking up the victory over Wesley and Ethan Page. What's your thoughts of Ricky Saints' entrance?
I mean, it's definitely a knockoff AEW theme song, which the internet was not happy about at all, even though AEW has knockoff WWE theme songs.
Yeah.
I feel like it makes sense for his theme song to be like that.
No, why not?
I would have preferred if it wasn't a knockoff, though, because for the most part, hate when it's like that. The only knockoff WWE theme song that I kind of don't hate in AEW is Adam Cole's. Off the top of my head, at least. So I wish it was like something not AEW related. But I liked his entrance as a whole. I liked his presentation. It was his first match on TV in just about a year.
And the fans were heavily behind him.
Yeah. Commentary also, by the way, mentioning his relationship with CM Punk and Cody Rhodes.
I mean, and to add to that, I mean, you had the crowd chanting, Tony fumbled.
Yeah. Which then the AEW Galaxy, where did Tony fumble? A mid guy? He's mid.
All right, so let's see how mid this guy becomes.
Like, it's like clockwork. It makes no sense. Just be happy that somebody's being used on TV. They were kept off TV for almost a year.
Exactly. I mean, let's see how this mid-card wrestler does when the WWE in the next 2 years. Let's see how mid
but like they're saying the same thing. They're like, oh, WWE fans saw the Hardy Boyz in AEW and thought they were terrible. And now they're like, oh my God, it's the Hardy Boyz in NXT. This is the best thing ever. The Hardy Boyz in TNA versus AEW is like night and day. And I feel like the Hardy Boyz would 100% tell you that too.
Yeah, there's a reason why Matt Hardy took to Twitter when he was in AEW. They were being used to put over tag teams and weren't even really featured all too often.
But even when they were wrestling, they just weren't what they should have been.
No, not at all. TNA is their rejuvenation of the Hardy Boyz.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, they even have their theme song.
Yeah. I mean, did they not have that in AEW? They did have that.
They had like a...
No, they had that. One. They had their theme song.
Did they?
Yeah.
They were featured so few times, I don't even remember.
But I thought this was a good introduction for Ricky Saints. Ethan Page and Javon Evans ended up brawling away from the match. So it left Ricky alone with Wesley. Mm-hmm. And obviously Igwe and DuPont also, which Ricky had to take out. He caught Wesley's springboard. He didn't really catch it, but he saved the spot, I should say. He recovered it.
Okay, before you continue, thoughts on that? You okay with it?
Yeah, I'm fine. It happens.
I'm okay with it too. I saw so many fans being like, if he can't do that with this guy, how is he going to continue with anybody else and this and that? I'm like, first off, they're not perfectionists. You know,
it's not
things
a video
like this
game.
happens in the ring.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Logan Paul versus Rey Mysterio. Same thing happened. You know, he thank goodness nobody got hurt on it.
Yeah.
And guess what? he still hit the
Yeah,
finish.
he hit the Rochambeau and won the match. Won his debut match in NXT.
Yep. I know I previously thought that maybe it should have been a singles, but after seeing this tag team, it makes sense to me.
Well, that's NXT. Moving over to SmackDown. It opened up with Trish Stratus, where she said that the Elimination Chamber will be the first time that her kids get to see her wrestle live. She introduced her tag team partner, Tiffany Stratton. They basically said that they're going to win at the Chamber, and then Chelsea Green and Piper Niven interrupted, which I popped for both of their outfits. Chelsea Green was very much so over until she started healing it up. And then Tiffany Stratton challenged Chelsea Green to a match, and Trish Stratus was like, if Nick Aldis thinks this is a good idea, send out a referee. A referee came out. I was expecting more of a surprise opponent for Chelsea Green after that tease from last week. But Tiffany Stratton picked up the victory over Chelsea Green via disqualification. My only issue with this match was the referee not counting when Chelsea Green had her leg across Tiffany Stratton. But Piper Niven pulled Chelsea Green out at one point. Trish Stratus hit Piper Niven. Tiffany Stratton dove out onto both of them. And then Candice LeRae and Nia Jax showed up and beat Trish Stratus down. Tiffany Stratton got pulled into it. And then they brawled, and that caused the DQ. Nia Jax and Candice LeRae eventually escaped. You had the Street Profits versus Los Garza not happen. DIY attacked the Street Profits before the match. Los Garza joined in. Pretty Deadly joined in. DIY came out on top from that exchange. And then Motor City Machine Guns joined in. They went to go up against the Street Profits. Los Garza and Pretty Deadly joined back in. It was very, very chaotic. The fans were all about them fighting. That was a very long brawl for it to... I wasn't expecting for it to go that long. After that, you had John Cena have an Elimination Chamber video air, which was interrupted by Drew McIntyre, and he called John Cena a hypocrite. He spoke about how he was scared of John Cena when he was younger, politically, because John Cena, like that, could have ended a career. And at the Elimination Chamber, he's going to bury John Cena. That led to Damian Priest coming out, calling Drew McIntyre delusional. Damian Priest spoke about Drew's obsession with CM Punk, which he said he doesn't have an obsession. He was literally sitting like CM Punk, which I thought was funny. And then he invited Drew McIntyre into the ring to fight, and Seth Rollins showed up. He blamed Drew McIntyre and CM Punk for not beating Damian Priest at Money in the Bank and becoming champion, but he's not the same guy, he said, as he was then. And nobody stands a chance against this version of Seth Rollins. CM Punk came out, verbally tore through everyone in the match. And then John Cena, it looked like everyone might start to brawl. John Cena's music hit. Crowd went absolutely nuts. And Logan Paul showed up. I thought that was a brilliant spot. Everybody hated that. And he made fun of everybody. CM Punk chased Logan Paul away, and that was the end of the segment. Another segment, you had Sami Zayn invite Kevin Owens out to speak his piece. Kevin Owens was at Rogers Center instead. I get the point of this. There was just a lot of filler on this show, and I don't know if it was necessarily needed. We had another match. Roxanne Perez and the Judgment Day picked up the victory over Bayley, Bianca Belair, and Naomi. This stemmed from all of them brawling on the kickoff to SmackDown show. And like that kickoff show, this was very chaotic. I liked the constant tags between the teams, but Roxanne Perez tagged herself in when Raquel, it seemed like she had control of the match. It eventually broke down into the move gimmick. I thought for sure it was going to lead to Bayley pinning Roxanne Perez. Roxanne actually hit a Pop Rocks on Bayley and picked up that win. I wasn't expecting that outcome. And then Alexa Bliss showed up afterwards, hit Roxanne Perez with Sister Abigail, and then disappeared. But throughout the whole night, you had a U.S. title championship number 1 contender tournament. You had Jacob Fatu pick up the victory over Andrade to advance. It was supposed to be Jacob Fatu, Solo Sikoa here. But Solo gave Jacob Fatu that spot. I was hoping for Andrade to win, but against Jacob Fatu, it would have been very hard to see that. I thought this was a pretty hard-hitting match. There was no other outcome for me. Later on, you had LA Knight pick up the victory over Santos Escobar to advance in that tournament. This match, I thought, was pretty mid. Very even between both of them, but for the most part, I wasn't into it. The finish I liked. Santos Escobar went for a crossbody off the top rope, and LA Knight turned it into a BFT out of nowhere. I thought that was nice. And then later on, Carmelo Hayes picked up the victory over Braun Strowman via disqualification to advance. Miz gave Carmelo Hayes a pep talk earlier on. Tama Tonga ran out during the match to distract the referee. And Solo hit Braun Strowman with a chair. Had zero effect on Braun Strowman. Braun takes both of them out. And then when the referee was distracted with that, Carmelo Hayes pulled a page out of Eddie Guerrero's handbook. He hits the chair, he tosses it over, and boom, Braun Strowman gets DQ'd. And Carmelo Hayes gets that win. You have Tama Tonga get attacked by Braun Strowman after that. And then fast forward to the main event of SmackDown, the triple threat match between the three of them, where LA Knight picks up the victory over Jacob Fatu and Carmelo Hayes to become the number one contender. I do like the idea of a tournament in the same night like this, but I felt like the matches were lacking. This had a lot of chaos to it. I like that barricade spot where Jacob Fatu stacked Carmelo Hayes and LA Knight against it, ran full speed at them. They both moved, so he flew over the barricade. But in the end, you had Jacob Fatu hit his moonsault. LA Knight pulled him out of the ring and then pinned Carmelo Hayes to get that win. LA Knight was already number one contender and was supposed to face Shinsuke Nakamura. I think they said Nick Aldis didn't want any interruptions from anyone else who might think they're number one contender. So that's how they spun that match, turning into this tournament. And then you close SmackDown, Cody Rhodes. Throughout the whole night, Cody had been thinking about, I guess, what to say to The Rock. And The Rock had a custom locker room for Cody. All the wine, all the seafood that he and R-Truth wanted. I thought that was a pretty funny part of SmackDown. The Miz spoke to Cody and tried to sell him on taking the deal. McIntyre spoke to Cody and he mentioned that Cody already sold his soul a long time ago. That one I'm not sure what that was about. CM Punk told Cody that he should take the deal, took a beat, and then did The Rock's shine it up real nice, etc. But if they were going to have all of this on SmackDown, there was no reason for that Monday Night Raw segment. He didn't get wined and dined on Monday Night Raw. And then the actual segment that closed SmackDown, Michael Cole ran through everything that Cody Rhodes could possibly have with The Rock. And The Rock gave Cody a truck. An earlier video of The Rock appeared on the screen to hype up the big decision with the loudest, I think, jet engines. That was ridiculous. And The Rock just basically ran through everything and hyped up that segment for the chamber. I don't know. That Monday Night Raw segment was a waste of time, really. Even though you got the authority line out of it from Seth Rollins. But that's SmackDown. Going to do predictions for Elimination Chamber taking place at Rogers Center. Not many matches. People are pissed off at these cards for being so tiny.
And can you guess who loves it?
Me. To the G, yeah.
You like it too?
I mean, I don't hate it. I would prefer less wrestling altogether, yeah.
I mean on the plus side too is look how much time they're given to these matches.
Yeah.
It's not like they're having 4 matches and then say Zayn versus Owens, they're only giving 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes to. They're actually giving prolonged periods of time for these matches to let them play out.
Unsanctioned match between the two of them. Who are you picking?
Oh, I'm going Kevin.
I am going to say Kevin Owens as well.
I kind of want to see...
I almost feel like it has to be Sami Zayn that wins, though.
I do agree with you too, but I want to see if this can go into that Ring of Honor territory a bit.
I think we're both going to be wrong.
100. I with the outcome.
Yeah. But I'm going to stick with Kevin Owens.
I'll stick to Kevin as well.
Tiffany Stratton.
It's not like you can say hometown crowd and stuff like that. I'm going Kevin.
Well, I mean,
unless
what?
You know what? I'm gonna switch. I'll go Sami Zayn. I'll go Sami Zayn because maybe Kevin losing will build him up even more I feel like we're gonna get a Kevin Owens face aspect. Ah, oh, damn it!
We're
I
not
don't know.
Getting a face Kevin Owens aspect. Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus taking on Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. Only one outcome here for this.
I'm gonna go with Stratton Stratus.
Yeah, it's Trishy time.
Yeah, Trish Stratus was just on the Busted Open saying how this is her 25th anniversary. 25 years of Trish Stratus. And this is also TNT. Tiffany and Trish.
Is that what they're calling themselves?
I believe so. I think they're going by TNT.
Bro.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. And something I didn't even notice. So this is the 25th anniversary of Trish Stratus.
And Lita?
Well, with Trish Stratus, and she was the 25th entrant for the Royal Rumble.
Where have you been?
Yeah. Didn't even put that together that the 25 was related to that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nice to see the throwback to Royal Rumble with this matchup.
Yeah. People are like, why is this taking place? Why is this happening? Tiffany Stratton was a heel to Trish Stratus.
Yeah, Trish Stratus eliminated Candice. Nia eliminated Trish.
They literally gave us reasons as to why this is happening. And Tiffany Stratton's a lot different than the last time her and Trish Stratus saw each other.
True. Tiffany Stratton is not that uber heel.
Elimination Chamber for a shot at the Women's World Championship at WrestleMania 41. Liv Morgan taking on Roxanne Perez. Naomi Bailey, Bianca Belair, and Alexa Bliss. You pick Roxanne Perez. I'm picking Liv Morgan. There's nothing more we can say about that.
Okay, and now on to what we can only think is the main event. This, I have to say, I feel like something that I do love about WWE right now is that these matches are legit tough to pick. Like a few years ago when we were picking matches, it was like I feel like the matches are a lot more difficult though to pick. Like back 3 to 5 years ago, we were like, okay, obviously this guy's going over, but now it's like everybody within a matchup has valid reason to win a matchup. So Elimination Chamber match for the undisputed for the undisputed WWE Championship match at WrestleMania 41, you have John Cena versus CM Punk, McIntyre, Logan Paul, Damian Priest, and Seth freaking Rollins. Dude,
I'm picking CM Punk.
I am not picking John Cena. I think that John Cena, because if John Cena wins this one, he has no reason to even appear at Money in the Bank. I think John Cena will be in the Money in the Bank briefcase matchup. So, especially because
it's Money in the Bank is after WrestleMania. You keep thinking it's before.
But even if it's after WrestleMania, I don't think that John Cena, his championship stuff, it doesn't have to be till the end of the year.
No, it doesn't, but
exactly.
I don't think him winning this wouldn't be like, oh, he's no longer at Money in the Bank.
To me, it is. I think he even said it in his promo.
They don't correlate to me, so...
regardless,
we're not picking Cena anyway.
Yeah, we're not picking him.
Who are you picking?
Move on. Just say move on, David.
Who are you picking?
Damn, this is tough.
I got CM Punk. It's not tough.
I'll go with CM Punk.
Could be wrong.
Well, that's the thing. After talking to you earlier in the podcast about Rollins and McIntyre, it's tough for me not to pick them. This could lead to Logan Paul versus John Cena at WrestleMania, which was a rumor.
Which people would be pissed off at, and I don't know if I would be necessarily thinking that should be John Cena's last WrestleMania match, but I wouldn't hate the fact that they're going to be having a match. They have that backstage segment. Did they not do a backstage segment with AJ Styles and Logan Paul?
They did. They did a backstage segment with Logan Paul and AJ Styles, with Logan Paul kind of being a jerk to him. But what was the
internet I see is saying that AJ doesn't have a contract with WWE anymore. I have no idea.
I think he does, but what was very interesting was at the end of that segment where the camera panned back to AJ Styles after Logan Paul walked away, in the background was Karrion Kross smiling and watching. So very interesting to see how Karrion Kross is going to play into factor with AJ Styles potentially, or Logan Paul, but most likely AJ Styles. I'm going to go with CM Punk.
So those are our predictions for the Elimination Chamber. Going to take a quick break right now, and I'll be right back here on Markin Out.
This is the greatest tag team of all time, FTR, and we're here on Markin Out podcast. You got Cash here, one half of the Living Legends, one half of FTR, one half of the 7-star icons, and we think you should check out this podcast here, Marking Out. Top guys, out.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Marking Out episode 734. Moving back to AEW Collision from last week, it kicked off with Mariah May starting the show off by attacking Toni Storm backstage. She dragged her out and hit a Storm Zero on that stage. It sets up a match for Revolution. I thought that was good. You had Hologram pick up the victory over Black Taurus. I liked that they kicked this match off explaining why this was happening. Most of the time, it's like a huge stretch as to why it's taking place. This actually had like background to it. It went a lot longer than I expected it to. I wish Black Taurus was actually a beast, like his name says, but for what it was a good lucha match. Black Taurus attacked Hologram afterwards, and Commander made the save. I don't know where LFI was. It's start and stop always. Gabe Kidd picked up the victory over the Butcher. I don't know what this will build to, but beating the Butcher in 2025 means absolutely nothing. There definitely should have been a video to reintroduce Gabe Kidd to the audience. So far, it seems like a waste of Gabe Kidd. The highlight was Don Callis watching him. That's not a highlight. You had Julia Hart pick up the victory over Queen Aminata. AEW, they did such a bad job at reintroducing Brody, Buddy, and Julia as the Hounds of Hell. This match was meaningless. Absolutely meaningless. Since being back, when the matches actually mattered, Julia came up short. Queen Aminata hasn't won any meaningful matches, so a win over Queen Aminata is meaningless. Very basic match out of the both of them. It was fine, but I feel like they could have done so much more with this. Brody King picked up the victory over Max Caster. I think Brody deserves so much better than a random squash match like this. I'd like to see where this thing with Max Caster is going, but I'm going to need to get there really soon. You had Lance Archer, Brian Cage pick up the victory over Sky High. Another meaningless match. Lance Archer has been doing the same exact gimmick for 5 years now. He's fallen into this never-ending void of literally the same match over and over again. It's like Groundhog Day watching him. It literally is. And I'll put a pin in that. You had the Hurt Business come out afterwards, called them out, and MVP hit them with a "who do you think you are?" and literally said the exact same thing I said. And said if they want a title shot, they can beat a real team and then maybe they'll talk. Later on, the Outrunners asked MVP if they can beat Brian Cage and Lance Archer, could they possibly get a title shot? MVP agreed. And then you fast forward to Dynamite, the Outrunners beat Lance Archer and Brian Cage. Starts out identical to any other Lance Archer match. The referee had zero control. Why people should care about a match with Lance Archer that he's been doing the same exact thing for 5 years makes no sense to me. The Murder Machines controlled this whole match. The Hurt Business showed up, distracted Lance Archer, and the Outrunners were able to get the victory off of that. It seems like we're going to be getting a title shot between those two teams. The Death Riders picked up the victory over Daniel Garcia and Team 2.0 to retain the Trios Championships. This was all chaos. The Death Riders held the ring, and Garcia, for the most of it, was not in it. Matt Menard finally got Garcia in, and he tore through the Death Riders. Ends up holding on to a sharpshooter while Pac was kicking him. And the only reason why the sharpshooter was broken was because Claudio suplexed him out of it. But they get the victory. Pac holds on to the submission after Parker tapped. That drew out the Undisputed Kingdom. It turned into 6-on-3. Moxley and Marina Shafir showed up. Then Edge came out. He hit Pac with a concerto. For some reason, on AEW Dynamite, Daniel Garcia and FTR picked up the victory over Undisputed Kingdom. I don't understand why Daniel Garcia is randomly teaming up with FTR again. Like, what happened to 2.0? We literally just saw 2.0 and Daniel Garcia. And why are two babyface teams going after one another? They're both supposed to be going all after the Death Riders. This match, like the other one, very chaotic, and I couldn't care less about it. FTR has fallen. Adam Cole has fallen. Adam Cole pinned Daniel Garcia with the jackknife pin, which is the same exact pin that Daniel Garcia has won matches with every week. That's something he should have seen coming. Tony Khan made a TNT title shot between the two of them. Then they had Edge brawl with Claudio, but Wheeler Yuta got involved. FTR was literally just in the ring. They were nowhere to be found. Why is FTR not out there saving Edge? Best friends, best buddies. Now we care about Daniel Garcia again instead. Jay White showed up. He distracted them for Edge to get the upper hand. I don't know how it makes any sense that FTR wouldn't show up and see. They were literally just out there. They see Edge getting beat down. Where were they? How do you not immediately run back out? It literally just happened. Wheeler Yuta ends up taking Marina Shafir out, obviously by mistake. Edge hits the concerto on Claudio. He teased doing it to Marina Shafir. Willow came out and hit the concerto instead. All while Jon Moxley was being held back by a chair from Jay White. The main event of Collision saw Chris Jericho beat Bandito to retain the championship. This was way too slow to be a match against Bandito. But Bandito, I think, looked great in this match. He was definitely doing all of the work. Not all of it, but a majority of this work was Bandito. Jericho, in the end, reverses the 21-plex with a pin. I thought it was a good finish. On AEW Dynamite, it kicked off with MJF getting his tattoo removed, which I don't even think he actually had the tattoo in the first place. But then it goes into Hangman Adam Page picking up the victory over Aaron Solo. Hangman literally gets out of his truck, wrestles in street gear. I don't think Solo needed any offense in this whatsoever. That's the only thing I would have taken out of that. Afterwards, Hangman called anybody out, and MJF showed up with a bloody towel. That was puzzling because he dropped it and didn't mention it until obviously the end of the segment where he revealed that it was Christopher Daniels' blood, Hangman's friend. And Hangman went to the back to then direct medical to do their jobs. You had Will Ospreay pick up the victory over Brian Keith. The story of that Brian Keith could take Will Ospreay out for the Don Callis family, I think, is beyond laughable. Brian Keith has wins over Mark Briscoe. He has wins over Orange Cassidy, or win, I should say. It was a tag match, same exact match. Those are the only two main eventers that he's ever beaten in AEW. This was like watching Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Val Venus, but commentary is selling it like Stone Cold versus The Rock. Storyline-wise, this match was actually good. I'd be happy watching this match live in person, but for TV with a story, there's no story. It's goofy. You cannot even begin to get me to believe Brian Keith is going to be the one to take out a bounty on Will Ospreay. You had Swerve after that come out, say that he's still the man in AEW. And he needs gold to prove that he's the best in the world, but he needs to beat Ricochet once more. Before doing that, Ricochet interrupted, basically said the same thing he's been saying. He's done with Swerve. I'm not chasing you. You had your chance. You lost. I'm chasing gold now. And then Prince Nana said that he had an offer for Ricochet from Tony Khan. It's a rematch where the winner of that gets a title shot for the AEW Championship. Ricochet accepted the match for Revolution. In a perfect world, it's Ricochet winning that match. I wouldn't mind even seeing Prince Nana turn on Swerve and help Ricochet get that victory. And then Ricochet could wear that robe all the time. I think that would be fantastic. I don't need to see Swerve in the AEW Championship scene again. Prince Nana said that if Swerve can't get the job done, he doesn't know if he can do this anymore. That leads me to even furthermore believe that maybe we could see Prince Nana help Ricochet win. Back on Collision, Harley Cameron hyped herself up in an interview. Beyond over. And I'm glad they put her on Collision after being absent from Grand Slam follow-up on Dynamite last week. But fast forward back to Dynamite, Harley Cameron picked up the victory over Deonna Purrazzo. They had good back and forth in this match. I think Deonna Purrazzo, based off my memory, may have controlled the match a bit more. Not by much. But I enjoy this match. I liked Harley Cameron's counter when she was in the Trio Woe. And I think her winning was necessary. I'm glad that Taya Valkyrie wasn't ringside to cheat. I definitely expected a new member of the Vendetta to show up after the match, though. That was maybe, I don't want to say surprising, but kind of surprising that didn't happen. But Harley Cameron definitely needed that victory. Deonna Purrazzo desperately needs victories. But when you have momentum that Harley Cameron had coming off that Grand Slam event, she very much so could not lose that match. But now hopefully Deonna Purrazzo can get victories and be on TV more. Main event saw Takeshita pick up the victory over Orange Cassidy to retain his championship and become number one contender to Kenny Omega. This is a match to me that happens when you don't write stories. Orange Cassidy, you had him do a lot of his gimmick stuff, which storyline-wise, perhaps maybe he should have been more serious. If he wanted a match against Kenny Omega, perhaps he didn't need to do those gimmick kicks in the pockets and everything. And then he would have won the match and become the champion and become number one contender to Kenny Omega. That didn't happen. This match was not necessary. The match the other week was not necessary. You had point A, you had point B. There was no reason to put a bunch of different letters in between. Absolutely none. That's AEW Dynamite. Hey, Brandon, got any shout-outs?
I am Grover, and you're listening to Brandon's shout-outs.
The first shout-out goes to School Spirits. I've let the episodes from Season 2 build up so I can watch a bunch at once. There's only, I think, a couple left in the season. But it picks back up where Season 1 left off. Peyton List's character is a ghost, and she's been investigating her disappearance. Now she actually knows what happened, and she's working on reclaiming her life. It's out on Paramount Plus. I don't know if it's going to have a third season, but I think it's a good show. I think everything in it just works. Obviously, if you suspend your belief, the fact that people can see ghosts. So I'd say check it out on Paramount Plus.
It's definitely an interesting show.
Yeah. This week we had, unfortunately, a lot of people passed away. So I wanted to acknowledge everyone. We had Jerry Butler pass away last week at the age of 85. If you know me, then you know that I'm a huge fan of doo-wop music. And he was in the doo-wop group, The Impressions. Their most famous song, which is regarded as one of the best songs of all time, is For Your Precious Love. He also had a solo career with hits like He Will Break Your Heart and Only the Strong Survive, which was covered from musicians all the way from Elvis to most recently Bruce Springsteen. I really would have liked to have seen him live, but I never got to. He hosted all those like PBS doo-wop reunions, and I've probably seen all of them from PBS. If you don't know his music, just go out, go listen to his music this weekend. Another musician that passed away this week at the age of 88, Roberta Flack. She had hit songs like The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face, Feel Like Making Love, Tonight I Celebrate My Love, which she did with Peebo Bryson. And I would also say is maybe her what I would say is her most famous song is Killing Me Softly with his song. She had an incredibly smooth voice, and she's another artist that I'm very surprised isn't in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But she combined so many genres of music, and like Jerry Butler, if you do not know Roberta Flack, go out and listen to her music.
And I feel like a lot of people would recognize Killing Me Softly from the Fugees. Yeah. But this is where original aspect.
Well, it's a cover song, but still.
Yeah.
A cover song, by the way, about Don McLean.
Interesting.
The original artist wrote the song about hearing Don McLean live in concert, I think. And then wrote that. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That's interesting.
Al Trotwig also passed away this week at the age of 68. He was a broadcaster for decades and a longtime MSG Network commentator. He covered the Rangers, the Knicks, the Yankees. He did other sports like the Olympics. He's also, he plays himself in Cool Runnings, by the way. I also found out...
I don't remember him in Cool Runnings.
He was the commentator.
I feel like I do remember.
But I found out that he also did sponsor reads for WWE shows that would air on the USA Network in like the mid-'80s. If you go back and watch those ads, they're all him. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very, very sad, you know? Especially because as Rangers fans, we always hear him.
And I never met him, but I had pretty decent seats at Rangers games when I was younger. So I was literally like right next to him all the time when he was doing the pregame stuff and the intermission report and stuff. So it's very unfortunate that he had to retire a few years ago, but he'll definitely be missed in New York television. And then my last shout out, very, very shocking, was Michelle Trachtenberg, who passed away at the age of 39. I first knew her from The Adventures of Pete and Pete. She was on Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Gossip Girl, which maybe people know her most famously from those two. I'm a Nickelodeon kid, so I knew Pete and Pete. Figure It Out, she was on a bunch of times. Harriet the Spy. That was like maybe the first Nickelodeon movie that they did.
Yeah.
She was in Inspector Gadget, which I saw in theaters with my summer camp when that came out. I'm almost certain I saw Harriet the Spy in theaters also. But she was, as an adult, I think her most famous role movie-wise, Eurotrip. That was a big movie.
Yeah, Eurotrip was a great movie. I feel like that movie is still very underrated.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
That movie was hilarious and very shocking and surprising and awful. You know.
Yeah, she was one of the many celebrities also who helped launch WWE's Be a Star program back in 2011. Yeah. But it's really crazy when somebody so young passes away. So really, the only thing I could say more is just go out and watch their movies and listen to the music.
Yeah, listen to it, and very sad.
So those are my shout outs. I wish they were more uplifting.
Yeah.
But
it's but it's important to recognize all of these people, and especially for what they have achieved and accomplished. And it's just too many passings.
Yeah.
Very sad.
But those are my shout outs. Now it's time for our
Mark Out Moment of the Week.
That is right, our Mark Out Moment of the Week. WWE Rivals and WWE's Greatest Moments. They had new interviews this week, and I was not expecting that. Because normally it's like a bunch of recycled interviews for WWE Rivals. They did Mr. T versus Roddy Piper, and they had new footage of Mr. T. Wasn't expecting that. It's what I kind of wish his Hall of Fame speech was, instead of like an hour of him thanking his mother.
Yeah, I remember that one.
And then on Greatest Moments, they spoke about the Royal Rumble from the 80s and 90s, and they had new interviews from Sean Mooney and One Man Gang. I was not expecting to see One Man Gang. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I think that's something that I marked out for before I forget is I've never seen it before, but it was backstage footage of WrestleMania 9. The one that was in Vegas with Hulk Hogan, Yokozuna, Bret Hart, all of that stuff.
The Head Shrinkers.
Yeah, Head Shrinkers. Head Shrinkers?
Yeah, versus
Who'd they
Steiners.
face? Oh, yeah, Head Shrinkers, Steiners, yeah. True. They may have been the second or third card on the match on the card. First, I think, was Tatanka versus Shawn Michaels. I think. But, yeah, that was actually my first WrestleMania that I've ever watched on TV.
In person. I was like, when were you in Vegas as a kid?
Yeah, I was going to say in person, but, yeah, that was the first WrestleMania I actually ever watched live. And so it really, I know, like, apparently people say that it's the worst WrestleMania ever, but to me, it holds such a high regard because that was my first. And to see clips of people backstage, like Undertaker, and like Undertaker going, like Yokozuna walking in with his child, and all these things and all these clips, I was just like blown away by it. And I was blown away. I saw a few weeks ago the clip that you sent me, I think it was the creation of the Monday Night Raw opening. And it's so weird to see these wrestlers, I guess the time of pro wrestling in WWE that you grew up watching, and see everything like the kayfabe dead aspect of it. It's just mind-boggling to me that things like that exist. So I definitely marked out for seeing that video.
Well, on Monday Night Raw, they also had Pac-Man Jones sitting in the crowd.
X Division champ.
No, not X Division. Tag team champ. And I was disappointed that Michael Cole, of all the things, I thought for sure, we've heard Michael Cole rattle off all these TNA facts recently. I thought for sure he would have said, and former TNA tag team champion. Wasn't the case. He held gold, by the way, with R-Truth. But the WWE Twitter account posted about him being a former TNA tag team champion. So I felt vindicated in that scenario.
Yeah, I was happy to see that they covered that.
Yeah. Which, by the way, it's funny because, or I don't know necessarily funny, but after Pac-Man had to give up the championship, I think, and he wasn't cleared to compete. So Xavier Woods was actually the one that filled in. And I believe him and R-Truth lost the tag team titles. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was cool, especially because the match prior to that was New Day.
Yeah.
I also was sent a video from a Tuesday night NBA game between the Brooklyn Nets and the Washington Wizards.
Yes.
Marcus Smart gets knocked over, and instead of taking the hand to get help back up, he kips up, and the commentator goes nuts for it and mentions Shawn Michaels. And I feel like nobody on Twitter was talking about that. I pop big time for that. Anytime you see, I mean, I don't even think Triple H and Shawn Michaels acknowledge that.
I don't think so either.
I feel like that's a thing that you would expect for them to both 100% acknowledge. Mm-hmm. And then also this week we had some stuff shown off from 2K in regards to WWE 2K25. It's literally out in like a week from now, early release. And we still don't know the DLC yet. They could drop it from any time that we finish recording till who knows.
Who knows?
But they did show off footage from My Rise, which is like the My Career mode sort of thing. And it includes a present-day DDP. And I asked if it's unlockable, and they confirmed that it's unlockable. So I'm very happy to see that because...
The old man DDP.
Yeah, I mean, technically the last time we would have seen DDP wrestle, I want to say was AEW. Prior to that might have been like WrestleMania 32 or something like that. Mm-hmm. But it's cool when they do stuff like that. In previous years, they had like Old Man Road Dogg was part of the My Rise. You had Old Man Shawn Michaels, and they were not unlockable. People like What's the Status was able to get them unlockable as unlockables and then upload them to Community Creations, and then 2K eventually caved and made them unlockable. Last year's game, it kind of felt like a step backwards, but also a step forward in regards to the My Faction cards and stuff, the Persona cards. Now it seems like we're going to be hopefully on track. That island stuff scares me because there's creation parts that are exclusive to the island, and
yeah, we'll see what happens with that.
It seems like you're going to have to pay a ton of money that's just unnecessary for stuff like that. So it seems like they're focusing more on the island, which sucks, but we're at least getting cards for DDP where we're going to be able to use an Old Man DDP.
Yeah.
So,
and talking about DDP and stuff, I'm going to add mark out moment. Lex Luger standing up with DDP.
yeah.
I marked out for seeing that DDP is actively working with Lex Luger right now. And I also wonder, we saw DDP standing up and everything like that, but I was like, Lex Luger, I feel like he should have and has been having physical therapy as well. So I feel like it's not just DDP. I feel like it's his physical therapist and all of his doctors that are doing work with him too. And if he's not currently going to physical therapy, that's really upsetting because everything that
I think
he should be doing
was going.
Okay, good. Because seeing him stand up and everything, and everybody's like, "Oh, he's standing up for the first time." I'm like, "Why is this the first time this man is standing up? If you stay seated for so long, you can develop pressure ulcers. He needs to stand up." So, I'm happy to see that
I don't know if
DDP's doing
is
this.
it stand up or stand up on his own?
I'm not sure, but this is stuff that should be worked on.
Because
though.
I think he was telling Chris Van Vliet about how he's able to brush his teeth now. He's able to stand up to brush his teeth.
But that's not just DDP's doing though, too. That's got to be physical therapy and occupational therapists with him as well.
Who knows?
And if not, then that's definitely a letdown. But I definitely think that it's great to see that DDP's involvement in there too, because it's also putting the spotlight onto Lex Luger, who I think never gets the spotlight that he deserves. And it's kind of it goes back to me seeing WrestleMania 9. Lex Luger, to me, I actually was a fan of Lex Luger when he was doing the Lex Express and everything like that. I was a kid and I wasn't questioning if he was champion. I wasn't going to question it. He was legitimate. He could have been a champion in my mind. And so to see him be with the DDP and having the recognition and having the spotlight on him with this happening, I'm really happy to see it.
Yeah, and we've been saying it for years. A lot of people have been saying it for years. Hopefully we see Lex Luger get inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame soon.
You know what? I want to see Lex Luger get inducted, and I want to see him walk to the podium.
Yeah.
How about that for a story? What about that if the first time, or not the first time, but for him to walk to the podium, that would be that's like people training to walk their daughters down the aisle of a wedding and stuff like that.
Actually, a video just went viral of a woman who was not able to walk, and she set a goal for herself to walk down Main Street USA at Disney World. And she accomplished it.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Powerful. But yeah, so that was a mark-out moment for me.
Yeah. So that's episode 734. Thank you so much for tuning in. You could check us out on Twitter at Markin Out, at BTTG161 on Twitter and Instagram. Chris Sweendog, CM Sweeney85, David PTDBT. Facebook.com/MarkinOut. YouTube and Instagram is MarkinOut11. ProWrestlingTees.com/MarkinOut. At MarkinOut on TikTok. Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, iHeartRadio. You can rate, review, subscribe. You can listen to us. And also subscribe on YouTube. And MarkinOut.com. We wish you the best of
Best
luck
of
in your
luck in
future
your future
endeavors.
endeavors.
Have a fantastic week.
Ow!